Hello, my name is Linnell Davis. The purpose of this course is to familiarize you with your computer, just what all the different parts are, how to navigate it, how to move, and how to be more efficient. This course is geared towards individuals who still have difficulty navigating a computer properly. Maybe you've done some light web surfing, a little bit of email here and there, but you're still not really familiar with how to utilize a computer and just where everything is and all of your options. That's what this course is for. So this is really geared towards beginners. I'm going to go over a lot of beginner stuff and I'm going to go over some more advanced stuff. But even the advanced stuff is really meant to just make you more efficient and to give you a better understanding of what this computer operating system is. So today we're going to start with Windows. This is your desktop. Now before we get started, I'm going to go into my settings. I'm going to my system and I'm going to go to about. So before we get started, we're going to go over some basic computer lingo, computer parts. So your computer comes with an operating system. In this case, I have Windows 10 Pro. Your computer comes with RAM. And your computer comes with a processor. The best way to describe, well, let's start with RAM. So the best way I've heard to describe RAM is to think about it as if you are in a library, and the only way you can get a book is to get it from the librarian. Well, the library has books in two different places. The library has books on the shelves, which are in the back. You can't really see those. And the library also has books on the shelf right behind the librarian, right? So when you walk in, you see the librarian. Behind the librarian, you see some shelves. And behind the door, all the way in the back, they have more shelves with all the rest of the books, right? So the shelf that's right behind the librarian, that's where they keep all of the most recent books, right? These are the books that people like to read the most. So if you go in and you ask for Great Expectations, for example, the librarian's going to check the bookshelf behind them, and then if it's on there, they're going to pull it off and hand it to you. That's kind of what RAM is. RAM is that bookshelf that's behind the librarian, okay? RAM is designed to put things in memory. When the computer puts something in memory, a program, a file in memory, it allows you to access that file or that program much quicker. For the most part, you're not going to notice whether a computer gets a file from RAM or from memory unless you're really pushing it. But that's the purpose of RAM. The purpose of RAM is to make the things that you use the most immediately available. So that's why they're going to put all those files, all those programs on the shelf behind the librarian so that you can access them quicker. Now, let's say you go in and you ask for the Iliad, right? No one really wants to read the Iliad. So the Iliad is hidden all the way in the back on one of the bookshelves. So the librarian has to go all the way in the back to get that book. That back section is your hard drive. The hard drive is where everything else is stored, right? So it's going to take that librarian a little bit longer to get you the Iliad from the back, right? Because they have to go all the way to the back, have to search for the book and come back out. So that's kind of what a computer is doing. If a computer has a file that you don't use often, it has to go all the way to the back to go get it. Again, you're probably not going to notice the difference, but that's what RAM is. If you are a regular computer user, you're using this for work, you're mainly watching Netflix, documents, emails, just basic things. The RAM on your computer, most of you probably have, we'll say 8 gigs of RAM, hopefully. That'll be fine for you. 16 gigs of RAM will be a little bit better if you want to do some more advanced stuff. I personally use the Adobe Creative Suite. I do some coding, so I would need at least 16 gigabits of RAM. So if you want to start using Adobe and all those other types of products that are just very intensive applications, you're gonna want at least 16 gigabits of RAM, if not 32 gigabits of RAM. That doesn't mean that you can't run those applications on 8 gigs of RAM. I think you can, but it's going to be very, very slow and you are going to notice it. Your processor is basically the brain of your computer. Your processor is the thing that is going to be able to access different files. If I type this into, I have a Core i7 8650U. So let's just look that up. We'll go Core i7 8650U. Okay. As you can see, the processor that I have has 4 cores. Your processor may have 2 cores. So think of the cores as just tunnels for tasks, right? So if you have one task, then another task, then another task. Whenever you're asking your computer to do stuff, it's basically setting it up as a series of to-do tasks, right? So turn on the computer, open up this application, go to this file, right? You're setting up a series of tasks for your computer to do. So you can think of those cores as tunnels for those tasks. And each task that you throw into the tunnel, your computer is going to execute, and it's going to keep executing all of these different tasks, right? So the more cores you have, the more tasks you can perform. Threads are kind of, well, the easiest way for me to explain it is to take each of those tunnels and split it down the middle, right? Technically now you have 2 tunnels. That's kind of what threads are. They're just a way for the computer to process information, to stack information in a more efficient manner. It's, instead of having 4 tunnels, technically you have 8. It probably doesn't make much sense, but that's just how the computer works, and that's what those threads are. Again, most of you probably have a computer, your computer has 8 gigabits of RAM and dual core. That is perfectly acceptable for your needs. Gigahertz is just the processing speed, the speed at which your computer is able to go. So mine is clocked at 1.9 gigahertz. The last thing we're going to talk about is your operating system. So as you can see, I have a 64-bit operating system, Windows 10, right? That's my Windows 10 edition. 64-bit operating system. Most of you, if you have a new computer, are likely also have a 64-bit operating system. Some of you may have a 32-bit operating system. If you have a 32-bit operating system, you're gonna probably see something that looks like this. It's called x86. That's what that is referring to. The operating system is just, you can do more work with a 64-bit operating system as opposed to a 32-bit operating system. You can have higher end applications with a 64-bit operating system as opposed to a 32-bit operating system. So the vast majority of applications coming out now and systems coming out now are going to be defaulting to the 64-bit operating system. So that's the basics of your PC, of your hardware. The other things I neglected to mention, but you should already know, you have a keyboard in front of you, correct? You should also have a mouse or a trackpad. If you have a laptop, you have a trackpad in front of you. So those allow you to have inputs into the system. So your mouse basically allows you to move around. You can see my mouse I have a very, very tiny mouse because I'm on a Surface tablet, but it allows you to move around. And your keyboard you use to type in, right? So Those are the bare basics of your Windows PC.